On today's show, hunker down and keep quiet. The Turks are a-comin'. We tag along with members of Minnesota's Ten Feathers Lodge, die-hard hunters with a spring story to tell. And our Minnesota Bound Classic this week is about the art of the call. If you sound right, like Ralph, the animals may talk back. Those stories and more, next.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's Select GMC dealers.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. It's time for spring turkey camp. This happens to be my favorite time of year, maybe because we're coming out of a long, cold winter. For sure, because of stories like Ten Feathers Lodge.
Spring is the season of new, a fresh start, so to speak. Exactly why hunters head for the woods.
I would say silver side up, huh?
They're longer. That's what I thought for this soft soil.
That's Bill Worth, and that's his hunting buddy, Calvin Cookie Strauss, founders of a Minnesota tradition. I'll let them explain.
I'm the Ten Feathers Lodge, so we gave it a name. All of a sudden one day I says, 10 feathers. It just stuck.
See, every spring, as sure as the grass greens up, these two get together to hunt.
It's pretty funny, and next thing you know, we're calling it Ten Feathers Lodge.
And that's Clint Anderson.
We're going to hang the basketball hoop up there, too?
10 Feathers, new kid on the block.
Took me a few years, but I finally got my hat. Once you get a hat, then you're in.
Moving day.
Okay, so 10 Feathers might not be an actual lodge, but this camp's passion sits stout as any concrete foundation.
You know, there's just something about being in the spring turkey woods. It's kind of coming back to life after a long winter.
In turkey talk, 10 Feathers longbeards settle into cushy living. I set up in a more meager setting.
I just kind of slid into archery, and it's quiet, and it's definitely a challenge. Well, I had a little red dot right here, and it looks like it took it off. It was set right in this diamond, so.
Tomorrow's hunt will pit archers against guys with shotguns. See, at 10 Feathers, teams flip.
What's the flip?
Wasn't the flip who's going to go first?
Wait a second, I want to see this thing.
No, wait a minute.
I want to see if this is an honest coin.
What?
What? I saw this get screwed up in the Super Bowl, so I know it can happen with you. So,
In a Super Bowl.
all right, let's see what's head.
All right, so this is head.
All right, okay. Heads I shoot, tails you shoot. I'm nervous.
Tail.
Oh!
You know, just like this hunt and every hunt, it's all about the stories. Every time you come in, you got a new story.
This story starts with a bang. By morning,
Wake up, time to go to work.
storm clouds clear out and hunters gear up. Bill and I have a short hike to a lonely field corner. A spot where we hunker down and slowly Minnesota's woods wake up.
You wouldn't think you'd get excited about a hen. Heck, you can't even hunt them, but that's the excitement of being out in the woods, being that close to those wild animals and just watching them do their thing.
It's almost as if she knows she's off limits. Pfft, show off.
And it's so amazing to just quietly sit still and watch those birds do their thing. I mean, that is the lure of turkey hunting.
Up next, hearts pump as the big birds finally come out to play.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota Select GMC Dealers. Kingtail Gator. Borderview Lodge. And by Jesse Treble's Safe Basements of Minnesota.
Today, we're in spring turkey camp at 10 Feathers Lodge. My favorite part of hunting? You just never know what might happen.
Even on 3 hours of rain-soaked sleep, hearts pump as 10 Feathers members get to the first full day of spring turkey hunting.
The sleeping part's brutal. But you know what's amazing? You get up every morning and just fired up to go again.
Too bad she's off limits. Turkey hunters can only harvest males. Minnesota's wild turkey story is one of great success. Late in the 1800s, both land development and hunters all but wiped out Minnesota's wild turkeys. Throughout the 1900s, biologists and conservationists tried to reintroduce wild birds, but they never seemed to stick. Then, in 1971, the Minnesota DNR released 24 wild turkeys transported from Missouri. Slowly, that population reproduced, and Minnesota's birds flourished. Today, more than 30,000 wild turkeys roam the southern two-thirds of Minnesota. In fact, seems they're now all over the place.
You know, it's funny because a friend will call on the way to work and be like, I'm driving along Highway 12, there are turkeys along the road. What's the big deal about hunting them? Well, when you actually try to go and hunt a turkey, you understand how difficult it can be.
Which is exactly why we hope tonight's hunt might finally pay off.
So it's the end of day one. We've got time for one last little setup. We think the birds are going to come back into this field.
Just before dark, Bill Worth and I set up along a bluff-top cornfield. And then I freeze.
Most people, if you don't lock up and you just move your head, sometimes you're even afraid to blink, they can see so well. Just these huge beards on the front ones that were coming in. And oh, that was incredible.
Slowly but steadily, half a dozen giant birds come straight for Bill's blind.
Got my heart racing. I was thought, here it is.
And we're just right there in front of them. It's just intense.
And sure enough, they didn't like something.
So goes the eternal search for wild birds.
That's hunting.
Tonight, they sleep safe and sound up in the trees above us.
Still ahead, The big surprise before sunrise. Hey, look up.
Closed captioning from Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Running Aces Casino and Racetrack.
When you turkey hunt, it's important to be up before the sun. Just be alert. You never know what you might find above you.
Bill Worth and I cannot catch a break. I think the old cliche applies. Close only counts in hand grenades and horseshoes. Last night's turkeys just would not close the deal. Talk about frustrating. Don't worry about it. Bygones. It's forgotten. While the turkeys outsmarted us, 10 Feathers Lodge newbie Clint Anderson and his buddy Cal scouted their best turkey spots. Looks like they have an idea where the birds are hunkering down.
You don't know. You're always nervous. Like the first morning I walked out there, you're nervous.
Instantly, we realize what's up. Rather, what's above. See it?
We were right underneath the birds. You get so excited, just instantly. It's an adrenaline rush.
Right on cue, that first gobbler pops down out about 75 yards in front. And then a second bird hops down. Look at that. 2 birds, and the one has a giant double beard. Even with Clint's smoothest and silkiest talk, his birds still walk.
They came across here?
Yeah.
I couldn't see them. I was looking through the bushes that way. I could hear them, but they were quite a ways down for me.
It's about being out in the woods. I love nature. I love outdoors. It's not about really the kill. That's just the bonus.
My bonus comes on our last night.
You think they're coming here? This way, you mean? Yeah.
Because they have no reason to go there.
Bill Worth and I set up in our same evening spot. And right away, I spot a bird. Up on the field, a big old gobbler. It's like he wants us to see him. Then slowly, too slowly, he creeps closer.
You can only hunt till sunset, and we know that sunset is at 8:29. So it's like I'm watching the watch, just looking at this thing going, okay, what's gonna happen? That bird is hot, and the clock is ticking.
Finally, with his head up right in front of me, I let him walk. The ghost goes free.
No turkey. He got into range about 5 minutes after sunset. We were 5 minutes too late, and you just have to say, it's okay.
When you measure success for turkey hunting, it's getting them close. It's not all about the kill.
And at the core of this story, still, a place called 10 Feathers, and the friends who call it home.
Kind of looking forward to actually sitting down for a meal.
Sometimes stories do have happy endings.
I'm back in camp. It seems like the birds have our number. And who comes rolling into camp? Well, look who's here.
Dude, that was so fun.
Get lost? Solid.
bud.
Look at that one, man. It's a nice thick beard.
Nice job, buddy.
The short version is this. I got the bird.
I know.
You know, I think spring turkey camp is about passion. It's about just being here, surrounded by this.
Coming up, meet a man with a magic voice. Ralph's story is a Minnesota classic.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Connecticut, Tracker Boats, and by Totem Resorts.
So it's time for today's Minnesota Bound Classic. Today's story is all about talking turkeys.
My privilege to introduce to you Ralph Duren. Ralph?
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Meet Ralph Duren, a Missouri farm boy who grew up with a magical voice box.
When I turned 5, we had our first turkey season in Missouri since 1934. So I listened to the hen turkeys on the farm, and I learned to go.
In Ralph's boyhood world, one turkey sound made with his voice led to another and another.
There's the fly down cackle when they come off the limb.
Turkey talk is only the beginning of Ralph's repertoire as Mother Nature's mimic. When spring dawns, return to Missouri and the dogwoods bloom, you'll find Ralph is no longer a stage act, but a turkey hunter. With so many calls in his turkey conversation, where does he start?
I generally have a whole arsenal. Go with the one he likes best.
Yeah.
At last count, some 135 animals reside within his voice box, speaking up on command when Duren opens his mouth.
And of course I started with farm animals because they were right there.
His mimicking talents have led to appearances on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, as well as a career with the Missouri Conservation Department, teaching school children about wildlife by imitating their calls.
What's the hardest one you do?
Well, the hardest ones are the real high ones, like the coyote howl and the elk bugle. But hitting that high note, that's the tough one.
The next morning, Ralph's turkey calls became irresistible to a fine Missouri gobbler.
Oh, he's coming.
A moment later, the hunt was over.
Yeah.
Chalk up another gobbler, fooled by the man of many voices.
Yeah, he gobbled, didn't he?
Not a bad beer.
Yeah, okay, spur,
You can't
pretty
see
good
the spurs
spur.
yet.
It's instant gratification.
Not a bad beer.
When you can make a sound and get a response from an animal, and the turkey gobble is special. It's just special.
So you see, the Missouri man with a magical voice box is not an act. He's just being Ralph.
And he just goes, here I am. Thanks for coming. Have a great day.
I don't know how he does it. Ralph, you are incredible. Well, that about does it for us this week. Both Ron and Raven are back next week. In the meantime, remember, introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. For more information on these stories and more, catch us on the web at mnbound.com.